Guten Tag, das ist PXCam20. Alright, now I'm just gonna stop. What's going on, guys? PXCam20, butchering yet another language. Today was German, since we are at the Nürburgring GP for an FIA Manufacturer Cup race, as the penalties has not been good to us this week, as we has lost a lot of driver rating points and safety rating points, so it put us down to about a third, fourth split lobby here for the Nürburgring GP for our FIA Manufacturer Cup race. So, ranked at number 2 in this lobby, feeling confident because, again, we are in a lower class lobby, but this race is a little bit difficult for the Honda NSX, as the Porsche and some other cars were a lot better than us when coming to this racetrack. So we were going to do as best as we can and try to push the Honda to its furthest so that we can get a great finish here. As you can see, we are very, very close to getting back up to our A+ safe driver rating for our FIA Cup. So when coming to the points, the first place was only going to get 198 points. So if we could get first place, that would be great. Not banking on it, as again the Honda NSX was kind of struggling around this racetrack, but if we can get to at least a second or a first place, I'd be really, really happy with myself, because again we can get some driver rating points and get some points towards the standing before this season ends, as we only have one race left after Nürburgring. So before we jump into it, if you guys really enjoy the content, please subscribe to the channel and leave a like on the video, as it really helps out the channel when you guys do so. Anyways, that's enough promoting myself. Let's jump straight into qualifying. Now, as we jump into the qualifier, we are going to see if we can try to shoot for a 2:05 here on this racetrack. As if you can get a 2:05, 2:04, that is probably the fastest lap that you can get around Nürburgring GP with the Group 4 car. So, coming out of our first flyer lap, we're coming out of the final corner. Feeling really confident about this lap as we come out of the final corner, going to the straight. Crossing the start finish line, we get a 2:06.2, so very, very close to our target time of 2:05. So we're gonna try to do another one here as we're coming into turn number 1 and see if we can get another lap time here. Coming over the start finish line, we actually were unable to improve our lap time as we try to do another one here for our third and final flyer lap, and we were actually able to get to a 2:05.9. Only 2/10 off the pole position, so very, very close qualifying competition here that we had as we finally get the completion for qualifying. And we're going to start this race in 5th place, right behind the RCF, the GTR, the Lancer, and the Vantage. And again, the Honda NSX was not the best car on this racetrack. I mean, I could get around it pretty good, but I just couldn't get a really good lap time compared to some of these other cars that were definitely outcompeting me when it comes to pace and cornering. But the strategy for this race was basically go balls to the walls all out, because we did not receive any of the mediums or the soft tire compounds. We were only going to be receiving the hard compounds, and the fuel consumption wasn't even that bad. We can make it from the beginning to the end of the race on one set of tires and without having to fuel up to the race. So we're going to see what we can do here, push the car as much as we can, try to make up as many positions as we can, and get a great finish as we are starting in a really good spot. Let's see what we can do here on the race. Now, as we jump into the race, we are starting in 5th place now, as we are starting right behind the 4th place Aston Martin. Going down the straight for the very first time, we're crossing the start finish line as we get into the slipstream of the Aston Martin ahead of us. Just staying right behind him. We're going to brake as early as we can to avoid making contact going into turn number 1. We brake early as we get very, very close to Aston Martin, but we actually missed our braking point. As I told myself, do not make contact with the Aston Martin ahead of us, because that can be costly to us just because of how cautious the penalty system is. But luckily, the sensitivity of the penalty system was on our favor, and we did not get a penalty here as we make our way now into turn number 3, coming out of Mercedes Arena. So jumping into turn number 4 here, we're staying right behind the Aston Martin as he gets a little bit wide coming into turn number 4. We are able to get a great exit here as we're starting to make up a little bit of time on the Aston Martin, as first and second are starting to fight with each other, but unfortunately we were unable to stay with them now as they're starting to pull away from us going into the final chicane on the end of the first lap. So coming out of the final chicane, the Ferrari was able to get around us here, and we had to give him the spot there as he was made a great overtake going into the chicane, outbraked us, was able to get a good grip coming out of the corner, and we have to settle now for 6th place, as I did not want to fight with these guys right now just because it's so early in the race. If we can follow with the Ferrari, if he's faster than us, he can probably pull us up to the top 4, and then we could still try to fight for this win here, as we are now coming into the chicane for the second time on the second lap. So braking right after the 100-meter board into this final chicane, we're able to stay with the 5th place drivers. We're staying in the slipstream here as we come into the final corner. You can see we're gaining a little bit of time with the 4th place driver, so my plan is working out here as we're just following the Ferrari, letting him pull us up closer and closer to the top 4, and then again just seeing if we can stay with them and then try to battle with them before the end of the race here, as we are now on lap number 3. So heading to the left-hander right here, we're staying right behind the Ferrari as we're heading to this fast right-hander. Staying right behind him, We're getting onto the slipstream as we get a really great exit. He goes into the dirt, so that's going to benefit us. And unfortunately, I can't bump draft the Ferrari ahead of us as he's giving us the turn for the left. But we are going to try to do a move onto the inside and see if we can get around him as he's kind of holding us up going into the chicane. Going into the chicane, we brake as late as we can. We're able to make the overtake for just a bit as he tries to make a crossover. And he's able to do so here as we squeeze him out, get onto the outside, but he's getting onto the inside now as we come into the final corner. Going side by side as we head into the final corner. He has the momentum going into the inside, and he's able to get around us now as he gets a great drive off, but we get a better one, and we are now going side by side again, going down the straight, leading us into lap number 4. So going into the first corner now, we're going side by side as it's a drag race to turn number 1, and who's going to be able to outbrake the other person as we brake as late as we can, but you can see he's still on the inside of us, so we're still going side by side as we are now on the outside. That's going to lead us into the inside, into turn number 2. Jump into turn number 2, he squeezes us out, and we lose 5th place here as that battle costed us a lot of time as we're just trying to get around him now, because at this point of the race he was kind of holding us up, and we were actually placing a little bit better lap times than him, but you can see how much of time we lost from 4th place. So we're gonna have to stay right behind him again, try to measure him up, look for an open spot where we can try to make an overtake and see if we can get around him now as we're coming into lap number 5. Coming into lap number 5 now, heading down the straight, leading us into Dunlop curve. We're staying right behind the Ferrari here as we kind of take a peek onto the inside, but he breaks a little bit later than us, but you can see how much time we're gaining on him heading into the corner here, as the middle of the corner and the end of the corner were kind of like our strong points. Running our fastest lap time so far as we head into the Schumacher S. We're staying right behind the Ferrari, as you can see how much time again we're gaining on him. We're taking a look onto the outside as he's going to cover the inside heading to his left-hander. He defends his position here as again we go side by side, make a little bit of contact with him, but nothing too crazy, and some great side-by-side action that we're having with the Ferrari, which is awesome to have. I love doing these type of races where we're having side-by-side really hard battles with these guys. But the only thing again is that we're losing so much time, so it's not helping us out on the long run. As you can see, 4th place is all by himself, and the top 3 are now starting to pull away from all of us now as we come into the final chicane. So coming to the final chicane, break right after the 100-meter board. We're able to stay right behind the Ferraris. He gets a really bad exit, and we're starting to make up some time on him now as we come into the final corner. Jumping into the final corner, we break as late as we can as we shift it onto the inside, take a little peek, make a little bit of contact with him as he closes the door on us, and we have to stay right behind him in 6th place. As now we're just forcing our way, trying to get our way around this Ferrari, as I'm starting to get a little bit aggravated here, but it's not the Ferrari's fault. He's doing everything he can to defend his position. He's doing a great job at it, as we are now trying to take a look onto the inside, taking a little peek, but he covers us off going into turn number 1. We give him the space, but we are now starting to get pressured from 7th place, so this is starting to get a little bit antsy now, starting to turn into a 3-car battle instead of a 2-car battle as we head into Mercedes Arena. And let's see what we can do here as we are now on lap number 7. So on lap number 7, heading to the left-hander, again the Ferrari is able to hold us off there as he's just covering his position. But look at this right here. We got a great exit coming out of that left-hander, heading to the right-hander now and leading us into the straight. We get a great exit here as we're staying right behind the Ferrari, and we're going to stay in the slipstream right here and see if we can get close enough to try to make a move onto the inside of the chicane. You see he goes into the inside, defends his position, but he's holding us off here as we now head into the chicane. Brake right after the 100-meter board. We actually miss our braking point. We actually make contact with the Ferrari, and he goes straight off, cuts through the chicane, and we get a 1-second penalty after making contact with the Ferrari. But looking at the replay, we brake where we needed to brake. It actually braked a little further or earlier than the 100-meter board. I just think the Ferrari braked a lot earlier than what I was anticipating, and we just made contact with him. So it was my fault because I did brake too late and made contact with him, but at the end of the day, it really helped out the Ferrari more than it helped or hurt him, because he was able to just cut to a chicane, not get a penalty. And look at this now, he's got a clear space right ahead of him and clear space right behind him, as we are now starting to get pressure from the 7th place driver. A very costly mistake, as we're going to have to serve our penalty here as we come out of turn number 1, and we're going to see where we're going to end up here, as we have a gaggle of cars right behind us. So this is going to be really, really interesting as we now come into a penalty zone. So coming to a penalty zone, serving our penalty, we lose 1 position. Are we going to lose another position? Yes, we do. We lose 2 positions and almost 3 positions, but we're able to keep it onto the inside of Dunlop curve, make a little bit of contact. Actually, I don't even think we made contact with the car on the left-hander, but on the left-hand side, but he was able to get around this a little bit, but then we were able to get back on him coming out of the corner, and we are now holding off our 8th place position now as we're coming into the Schumacher S. So coming out of Schumacher S, we're going into the left-hander here as we are on the outside, braking as late as we can. We are now getting squeezed out as we head onto the left-hander. We actually get pushed out here as we come into the left-hander and heading to the right-hander, and that's costly because I'm not sure if I'm going to get a penalty. Is if you do go over those AstroTurf, you do get a penalty. And you can see right there, we did get a half a second penalty as we jump into the replay. The Mazda just pushes us out right there. So I don't know if he did that deliberately or if he did that accidentally, but you can see we gave him enough space coming out of the right-hander. So I wish he would have done the same thing for us, but he only basically pushed us out of the way going off of the left-hander, and we have to serve now a half a second penalty because of that. So very, very frustrating here as we're now coming to the chicane, going side by side with the Mazda as we're coming to the chicane. He's able to outbrake us here as we follow right behind him, and we're going to see if we can try to stay right behind him, make a move onto the inside, get ahead of him before we hit the penalty zone, and hopefully we can at least get an 8th place position now. At 7 and 6 are now starting to pull away. So coming out of the final corner, staying right behind the Mazda, we get a great exit here as we are in the slipstream of the Mazda, getting a great run down the straight. We are now on the final lap as he shifts onto the inside. We're going to keep going onto the inside as he tries to force us in. He pinches us down, and he actually squeezes us into the wall. So a very dirty move right there as we were alongside of him. He just decided to squeeze us out. As we go into the replay right here, you can see we're on the inside, clearly almost halfway to his door, and he just forces us into the wall, squeezes us out. And now at this point, I am really, really frustrated and angry with this 8th place Mazda driver as he did push us out on the left-hander, and then he squeezes us out on the front stretch. So I'm just doing everything I can to try to get around him as I try to make my way onto the inside. And at this point, the frustration is just getting a part of me now. As you can see, we just made a stupid move right there as we get a 1 second penalty for trying to corner cut. And now we are a 2.5 penalty deep with these penalties. So getting to the left-hander and to the right-hander, we're gonna have to serve our penalty here as I was doing everything in my control power to not take out this Mazda. I was just very, very frustrated with him, and we have to serve our penalty here now. As we have to serve it, we lose 1 position, 2 position, 3 positions now as we head into Dunlop Curve. So heading into Dunlop Curve for the final time. We're on the final lap again as you can see it's a 4-car battle for 8th place position. Staying right behind the Mazda right here. We're heading into Schumacher S's as the cars ahead of us are starting to get a little bit antsy as they're starting to fight with each other coming to Schumacher S's. Coming out of the corner, we get a great exit here as we're starting to catch up a little bit onto the Mazda ahead of us. So we might be able to get ourselves into 11th, maybe even 10th position, depending on what these guys do up ahead of us. But we are now coming to the final part of the lap as we are now in the final sector, heading to the right-hander. We're heading past the final sector zone, and we are now on the 3rd sector, heading to the straight, lead us into the final chicane. We got a great exit here as we're on the slipstream of the Mazda, taking a peek onto the outside here as he's going to defend the inside, going onto the chicane. We break right after the 100-meter board, going side by side into the chicane. We let him get the position here as we go single file into the chicane. You can see 9th and 8th are now ahead of us, going to battle with each other, and so is 10th and 11th. Both of the cars ahead, or all 4 of them, are just battling with each other. The 10th place Mazda actually outbrakes himself, tries to go in front of the Honda. We actually get an overtake on both those cars that they both make a mistake, and 1 car ahead of us gets a 1 second penalty, and we finish this race in 10th position. Not our best race as we did start in 5th place. Could have shaped ourselves for a podium, but again, we just got a really bad beginning part of the race. Made a huge mistake making contact with the Ferrari, and again, just got squeezed out many of times by the Mazda in 8th place. As we jump into the replay, you see the white Mazda just outbraked himself, really forced the Honda NSX behind him to brake really early, and that caused both of them to lose momentum, and we were easily able to sail right past them and get 2 positions, finish this race in at least 10th instead of 12th. But again, very, very frustrating as the penalties really screwed me over because we got pushed out. But again, I can't be mad only at the penalties of the other drivers because again, I put myself in this position after making contact with the Ferrari and giving myself a 1 second penalty. So just all types of complications here on this race. Just have to refocus, try to get back in the zone and see if we can finish the season strong, as we do only have 1 more race left in the Manufacturer Cup. So anyways, I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. If you guys did, again, please subscribe and leave a like on the video, as it really helps out the channel tremendously when you guys do that. And if you guys really enjoyed this video, I hope to see you guys on the next one. Peace out.